Hi YouTube. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been gaining a lot of interest and especially controversy in the Ethereum community recently. And that topic is artists in the community overpricing their work, specifically for gear like masks. I'm particularly passionate about this topic because I do sell masks. I'm also in the art field outside of the Ethereum community and outside of my Etsy shop selling masks. I have been heavily involved in the art field since my sophomore year of high school. I'm currently 20, which means I've completed some college. I'm no longer enrolled at the college, but it was primarily an art school in the Milwaukee area. So I have a decent amount of knowledge when it comes to how the art field kind of works. That being said, I wanted to talk about how a lot of people are viewing mask making and art in general, and I think it's really important to talk about because I think a lot of artists are getting backlash right now for pricing their work higher than some people can afford or feel like the artists deserve for their time. I do want to start with why this could be justified, which is the argument that a lot of people are making of why these masks are priced too high is that gear is something that a lot of people view as a necessity in the Ethereum community, that you need a mask and a tail in order to be considered Ethereum, and that if you want to properly express yourself and your identity, that you need a mask. And that's a whole topic on its own, but in short, you definitely don't need gear, as nice as it is to have. The other argument is that when you break down the time that artists are, spending making a particular mask, people don't feel that the hourly wage artists are making is a fair wage. Anybody who sees that number when they break it down being anything other than like $15 an hour, they argue that it's too expensive. As somebody who creates masks as like a serious income into my household, that is barely a livable wage. There are bills to pay, like food, grocery bills, and heating, electricity, rent, all these other things that I think as younger members people don't really think about. And I understand that some people don't think that mask making should be a serious career choice, and I disagree. I think there's a strong community, and I think that it's an important community to have around, and I think that paying artists a livable wage is fair to keep the community healthy and economic flow going through it, I suppose. On top of that, simple breakdown of how wages work is just not very accurate. People aren't really accounting for things like materials, which can run me hundreds of dollars per order, and shipping materials, as well as taxes, take a huge cut. If anybody's selling on Etsy takes somewhere around 12% of our income. So if we sell a mask for $100, we already lost $12 from that sale, another $4 for shipping minimum. I sell in bags. I know a lot of people do boxes for their shipping, which has a significant increase in shipping prices. And then you have the mask materials itself, which could range anywhere from $5 to $20. So the actual income that the artist is taking home from that mask could be somewhere around $50 for a $100 mask. It's also important to take into account that these are one-of-a-kind masks. I think that people are really decreasing the value because there's a lot on the market, but these are entirely unique. There's one in the entire world that cannot be replicated unless you were manufacturing them in a factory somehow, which these are handmade. You can look at paintings and other forms of art, and these also tend to run pretty high. I think that it's completely justified, and you don't have to agree with that. However, I would strongly suggest not going after artists who are pricing their masks higher than you think is fair. This is entirely their choice of how they want to price their masks, and if you don't agree with it, that's okay. You don't have to buy their masks. You can either look for a different artist, make your own masks, or just go gearless. I think that it's nice to have, but it's definitely not a necessity, and I hope that as a viewer you know that you don't need gear in order to be accepted and loved in our community. Overall, I think it's really important to remember that these are artists. Many of them are trying to support a household, support themselves, or even just bring in some extra money on the side. And it's up to them ultimately how much they want to price their work for. And you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. People don't need to buy it if you don't want to. And that's okay. I will see you in a couple days. Bye.